romance anime, much like isekai, keep getting tons of original and adapted anime each season, and winter 2025 is no different. There are few that I like, such as Blue Box and Honey Lemon Soda, and there are even a couple of great ones, like 100 Girlfriends, which I will talk about here, and I Have a Crush at Work, which has been one of the biggest positive surprises of the season. Indeed, it's a very saturated genre, and it does satisfy those that can pinpoint and relate to similar scenarios in their own relationships. And for the rest, like myself, whose experience in relationships stops at anime_irl, we have to just imagine how it would feel to have someone in your life. Anyway, enough of those depressing self-deprecating jokes. I wanted to have a wide range of anime in here, so I'm giving you a recommendation in each target demographic, even if I'm cheating in the first one a bit, as unlike others, the source material was never printed in a seinen magazine, only adapted after. By the way, if you didn't know, that's how shonen, seinen, etc. works. It's not about the content of the material, but the target demographic of the magazine it was printed in. K-On! Is just as much a seinen as Berserk is. Also, while we are on this tangent, some anime tend to get manga adaptations after they've aired. For example, Planet Wit was an anime first, but then Satoshi Mizukami, a very prominent manga author and artist, who did the series composition and character design for the Planet Wit anime, and then made the manga adaptation, which ran for multiple years after the anime ended. And most crucially, I added a rule for myself when I'm recommending these to you. If the anime adaptation is incomplete, the source material has to be great as well. This will become relevant in my shoujo and yosei picks, but it will be very relevant in my shonen pick. Also rest assured, all of these anime have actual progress in them. No 24 episodes of will they, won't they, and ending with a confession that gets drowned out by the sound of fireworks, and a big sign of better read the manga if you want to know if they get together. Sykes. They haven't even gotten together in the manga, and it's on hiatus. Or they do get together, but they speedrun it literally in the last chapter. That's for getting your hopes up, you dumbo. These 4 anime are very different, so if you're uncertain from where to start, then I would suggest you start with either with my seinen or shoujo recommendation, and I will start with the seinen recommendation, that has literally something for almost everyone.
2年前のクリスマスイブ、そのまま彼女が現れることはなかった。
Amagami SS is a story of Tachibana Junichi, a horny high school boy who in middle school got ghosted on his first ever Christmas date, and thanks to that feels depressed around Christmas. That's right, it's a Christmas anime, right on time. He lives together with his little sister Mia, who is even hornier than he is. I say horny, but this is that teenage boy type of horny, where Junichi is fully aware of the womanly figures of his peers and is fantasizing about it and reading dirty porn mags, like a normal high school aged boy. Maya, on the other hand, ain't beating the allegations. Junichi is not some sleazy pervert who keeps intentionally groping girls against their consent, which is then played for laughs. I mean, his sister Mia and that Super Sentai show do that, but anyway, as you might have guessed, some of the usual anime tropes of sexual assault played for laughs do exist here, but Junichi himself never stoops that low, and some of the girls are even on the same wavelength with him. They even get horny in weird creative ways, like kissing a girl's bare tummy, or kissing the back of the knee of one of the girls, or whatever the fuck is going on here. Of course, Junichi has some positive qualities, like how he is very supportive of his friends and makes said friends easy, and gets along with almost anyone, and none of the eventual relationships feel forced, and they happen naturally. He is both proactive and reactive in these relationships, and it's great that we get so many girls with so many different personalities and personal issues, so Junichi can bounce in many different ways and he can really shine. And shine he does, especially when our girls share their insecurities and fears with him. It should be mentioned that I felt some second-handed embarrassment from Junichi, but nothing that made it even close to unwatchable. You might be confused why I'm talking like there are multiple relationships with multiple girls, and before we talk about the girls and the overall appeal of Amagami SS, even I had a couple of similar misconceptions about Amagami before I actually watched it, and it dispelled those earlier notions. First one is that despite whatever my anime list is telling you, Amagami SS is not a harem. It never was, and it will never be. Come on, Mal, remove that tag already. Second one is actually serious, and I thought it was going to be like Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, where we have one main girl and several supporting characters, and our male lead solves their problems before moving back to the first girl. This is not the case. And Amagami is actually a bit of an unique visual novel adaptation. Instead of picking one or two girls and smashing their stories together and having to make a choice which girl wins, they were absolutely geniuses. They adapted all of the girls and their true endings like madmen. There are 6 girls and all of them get 4 episodes and 2 extra episodes in the sequel, Amagami SS++. I don't know why there are 2 pluses. How did the show achieve that? Well, the show just resets the game, chooses a different girl, and starts all over again. We are spoiled for choice when it comes to female leads, and I'll introduce them in order just like their arcs. Morishima Haruka is our first girl, a 3rd-year student, senior to Junichi, and she is a certified school idol. Beautiful, playful, friendly, and always up to some hijinks with Junichi or her close friend Hibiki. Hibiki is a side character who doesn't have her own route, but one of the benefits of Haruka's arc is that we get to see more of Hibiki. Haruka is very easy to like when you're watching, and especially when she matches Junichi's horniness.
意地悪しないで。
たくしょうがねえな。ほら、まずはスープからだ。
Tanamachi Kaoru is also very easy to like, and her frizzy hair is perhaps the most iconic thing of the show. Close friend to Junichi even before her arc starts, so she appears quite often, even when it's not her turn. I'm going to be basic and say that her arc was my favorite, especially after the sequel Amagami SS++. Nakata Sae, a timid and shy junior of Junichi and a friend of Maya, whose arc is probably the funniest one, and that's almost all thanks to the narrator. Sae unfortunately is not that interesting herself, even if she does have very noticeable character arc.
次は負けないからな。
少年は本当はこのまま永遠に負け続けてもいい。いや、むしろ負け続けたいと思っていた。
Nanasaki Ai, a part of the school's swimming club, and another junior of Junichi, and another friend of Maya, who is very calm and cold, but over her arc we get to see more of her playful side. Ai didn't really click with me until the sequel, which might seem odd because she arguably had the most emotional moment of the bunch.
Hop, step, jump, Dynamo Spark. 今だ! Mask Thunder Kick.
Sakurai Ryoko, who is a childhood friend of Junichi, and she has had a one-sided crush on Junichi for just as long. She also worries a lot about her weight, which unfortunately does not translate that well into the anime. Ryoko is also rather special, because her arc was the least satisfying out of them, and you can probably guess why, just because she has that cursed childhood friend label. Even an anime where every girl is a winner, childhood friend still manages to lose. Last one is Ayatsuji Tsukasa, who at first seems like this calm and collected, nice and approachable class president, who takes on handling the annual school Christmas festival on each route. She does hide a cynical side, and slowly but surely comes around in relying others for support. There is also one bonus girl, but I won't spoil you who it is. Our arcs played out somewhat similarly, with Junichi asking the girl out, accidentally stumbling upon a secret, or just by sheer chance, he ends up getting closer to one of the girls. All of our arcs start rather close to Christmas, and usually end in that aforementioned Christmas school festival. You might think that this would get rather repetitive, but no, and that is mostly thanks to how good of a character Junichi and our girls are. Junichi is all in, giving emotional support, encouragement and a helping hand to our many girls. Junichi himself is rather insecure, because he did get dumped on that one fateful Christmas day, but he does work on his attitude and feelings, and the girls themselves are not perfect beings either, and come to rely on Junichi with their own insecurities and faults. If you count the sequel as well, then you have 6 episodes to focus on one girl, and that's just plenty enough to show how Junichi and the chosen girl get closer together, and it never outwears its welcome. Another thing you might think in that squishy brain of yours is that you could just pick and choose what episodes to watch, since it sounds like all of these episodes are self-contained in a way. I guess you could, but I strongly advise against it. There are small bits of foreshadowing through the arcs, and some of the side characters, usually friends to our girls, keep popping up more frequently, straight after their arcs. But if you insist, then you should definitely not skip over Haruka's arc, episodes 1 to 4 in season 1, as that serves as an introduction to all of our girls and how they feel about Junichi at the beginning.
寒い。入るか。
I think that's enough about Amagami. Not because there isn't stuff to talk about, but we are pressed for time. And because Amagami is very easy to get into. Just watching 4 episodes to get a complete story of one of our girls is the best way to get into it. And you at most waste an evening if it doesn't click with you. Highly recommended. And the first season is about to hit its 15th anniversary. And it definitely does not feel dated, even when compared to some romantic comedies that are currently airing. Perfect time to hop on Amagami train and start a waifu war with your personal rankings. My shonen pick is a classic, and the reason why I had my if the anime is incomplete, the source material must be elite.
誰かいるのかな。あれだ。
七海さん、俺と付き合ってください。好きです。
You thought you would get one video from me without some Yuki Hanada glazing. Well, think again. Blooming to You's reputation speaks for itself, and it's arguably one of the most faithful adaptations ever, for both good and bad, and we will get to whys. For those not in the know, Blooming to You is one of the most treasured and praised girls' love manga and anime there is, a gateway to the genre, and it does it without needing to play some old terrible tropes and fanservice shots. Like the subject matter implies, there are some strong questions that some adolescents might struggle with when it comes to romance, even if one of them has been criticized by those who are way more familiar with the subject matter than I, but more on that later. We follow Koito Yu, who has been reading shoujo romance and wonders if love will ever find her, and will a prince come and sweep her away. Well, that does happen to her, as during middle school she gets confessed by a boy, but she realizes that she doesn't feel anything and turns him down. Did all of those shoujo romances lie to her? It seems rather likely, until she gets to high school, when she is confessed by her senior, Nanami Touko.
先輩は私と同じじゃないんですか。違う。だって君のこと好きになりそう。
Touko is a school idol, student council president, and very caring and loving person that imbues stoicism. That's until she confesses to you and reveals a side of her that is just madly in love with you and is rather headstrong in the relationship, and she puts on a strong act because of her backstory that I will not spoil. Problem with this is that while Yu does accept the confession, she still does not feel that love towards Touko. So they hatch out a deal. Yu will not fall in love with Touko and their relationship can continue. I guess this is a good time to bring out the asexual perspective, and I will have to outsource my thinking. Seiji is a side character who figures out the deal with Yu and Touko rather early, and he himself is asexual, and he gives out encouragement to Yu, that even if she does not feel love yet, she might one day, as she is already in relationship, which is something that Seiji could never be in. This is a rather skewed way to view asexuality, and since I'm not an expert, I'll leave a couple of links in the description below, written by people way more familiar with this subject than I, that give out fair criticism. Seiji is a fine character otherwise, and this deal is not even close to being a deal breaker. One more notable character is Sayaka, student council vice president and Touko's best friend. Much like Touko, she is rather stoic, but loving, and most importantly, she has a crush on Touko. But she never confessed, because she witnessed countless attempts at Touko given by others, so she just held it in. Until Touko starts acting rather strange around this new freshman. Sayaka struggles with her own sexuality, as in middle school she had a girlfriend who was just pretending, because that is what girls do. So Sayaka begins to question if she is really into girls at all. While this arc is not resolved in the anime, which is a statement I could use at multiple points, it is solved in the manga, and there is a light novel that explores Sayaka during middle school, high school and after. I haven't read the light novels, but I heard that they are good. Relating to Sayaka, one of my favorite side characters is the cafeteria owner Miyako Kodama, who is in a relationship with their teacher Riko Hasosaki, and she offers guidance and reassurance to Sayaka as an older lesbian to help her sort out her feelings. The adaptation itself has rather limited animation and okay visuals. It's nothing to write home about, but it doesn't need to be spectacular viewing experience, since most of it is just character interactions. But the content and the soundtrack especially make up for the visuals, and they complement the rather slow pace. In 13 episodes, the anime doesn't even come close solving any of our girls' arcs, and it feels that we were only just getting started. The anime ends in the middle of an arc, as we don't even get close to seeing the play that this student council is preparing, and it might feel odd to end the adaptation in an aquarium date between Yu and Touko, but that's how it's literally in the manga. I much prefer this version we got rather than a hypothetical rushed version that blitzes through the story. At least we still have a hope for future second season that can adapt the rest of the manga faithfully. Now you might have a couple of questions in your mind, like, okay, so how is the manga? And, Gondola Media, you're a heterosexual man. Are you not just feeling the narrative that straight men just glorify lesbians because it's acceptable? So the manga. I wasn't kidding when I called the anime one of the most faithful adaptations. There are some anime original stuff, like connecting some chapters together with the flower question, and some funny scenarios are moved around. But other than that, it doesn't stray from the path. Visually it's nothing special, but it flows well, and there is some clever paneling. While the anime is, in my opinion, a better experience than the manga chapters it's adapting, it's not like the manga is a chore to read through, but the voice acting and the music really enhance the slow pace and let you really soak the atmosphere.
ねえ、ユウ。キスしたい。
I'm rather saddened that we will most likely never see a full adaptation, and the entire play that the student council puts on is such a treat that I can only imagine how it would have acted out in the anime. But alas, that is the fate of Yuri anime. The manga ending is cathartic, and without spoiling, I must say that I didn't expect it to go that far by the end. If you have read the manga, you will also know what became of Sayaka and her crisis. Go and watch Bloom Into You. Read the manga. The world definitely needs more anime adaptations of positive depictions of non-heterosexual romances that are earnest. And let's continue with that mindset, because my Yosei pick is given.
ギターを教えてください。
マジか。
Okay, spoiler alert, but Given is my favorite anime in this list. Normally I would try to avoid major spoilers, but I will have to talk about the payoff to Season 1, so be advised. Given follows a story of Matthew, who is a timid high schooler that carries a guitar around the campus. And a word of warning, Given does deal with heavy subjects, so if you are not comfortable with suicide at all, then you should consider skipping Given. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Because we start the series with a flashback of Matthew finding his childhood friend and boyfriend Yuki dead at his room, while Matthew clutches Yuki's guitar in his hands and in his sock breaks the strings. So yeah, that's one way to start your story. And once Matthew bumps into Uonoyama, who mends his broken guitar strings and at the same time starts mending Matthew's broken heartstrings, Uonoyama takes a liking to Matthew and begins teaching him how to play guitar, and the story properly starts.
見学に来ました。
見学ピン仕方ねえな。
いいとこ見せなきゃ。
Given surprised me in many ways, and the biggest one was how funny I found it, which might sound morbid after what I just described, but no, I was holding back laughter from all of the deadpan humor and these reactions. Uonoyama himself has a lot of great reactions to Mayufu's tomfoolery and his reaction to his growing feelings towards Mayufu. So yeah, Given is all about boys' love. And you're telling me that music anime has gay undertones? I'm sucked. Well, you know, with music and anime, gay undertones are given. Rather refreshing, since Uonoyama and Matthew are not the only couple in the series. And I do prefer a romance where relationships starting earlier is for the better. We actually have on-screen kisses in my gay music anime. Bocchi could never. Wait, hold up. Bocchi, what are you doing? The other band members, Haruki and Akihiko, add a lot to the comedy, and they have their own stories going on while we try to figure out our male lead's problems first. Jumping from the series, the first Given movie focuses more on them, so I won't delve too deep into them here, except that Haruki and Akihiko are rather great mentors for both Matthew and Uonoyama, even if their methods can be questionable at times.
俺たちに遠慮とか上様らしくねえな。
ないね。一応断っとこうかと。
えらいえらい。
えらいえらい。
いや、本当にえらい。
えらいね。休憩しねえなら練習再開しますよ。
なあ、待て、一本だけ。
待ってて。
Early on, Uonoyama finds out that Matthew is a great singer and recruits him to be their vocalist, and tells him to write a song. It's here where Yuki's shadow looms over the series the most, as Matthew keeps reminiscing about him and tries to put his feelings into words, but just can't write them down. It's a constant struggle, with Matthew connecting with his mutual childhood friends, with Yuki, and trying to move on from the tragedy that started with one line that Matthew did not mean. The emotional core for me was watching Matthew trying to come to terms with his ex-boyfriend Yuki and his other childhood friends Hiraki and Shizuzumi. Thankfully, Uonoyama is a strong pillar, gay panicking mess, but a strong pillar nevertheless, that is a very proactive in guiding Matthew to learn playing guitar and write his feelings into a song, so that there can be some sort of closure. Uonoyama does not know what happened with Yuki, but he does his best to support Matthew, even if Matthew can feel rather alien with his emotions. There is a really great moment halfway in On the Other Hand special that is a collection of cut stuff from the first Given movie, which really shows how Uonoyama is trying his best, damn it, even if he doesn't fully understand Matthew or himself yet. Given can be a slow experience, as the series does take a while to hit its stride, but once you reach episode 9, it has been all worth it. So much so that I'm making a statement. The insert song Fuyu no Hanashi in episode 9 is the most heartbreaking, breathtaking, and cathartic music performances of any anime, and I challenge you to find one that can stand toe-to-toe to the emotional outburst that Matthew delivers. No, really, please do. I want to see more stuff just like this. I won't spend too much time talking about the movies, but the first movie focuses on Haruki and Akihiko, while Hiraki Mix focuses on Matthew's two childhood friends, Hiraki and Shizuzumi. They're good, but they didn't reach the same emotional peak as season 1 for me. But it did help me to remind all of you that always remember the biggest C's in relationship and sex: communication and consent. Now the anime isn't complete, and hopefully the last movie airs this year and it can cover the rest of the manga, but the manga is well worth checking out on its own. Mainly because there's a sequel series that takes place 10 years after the events of Given, and the original Given manga has some cut content that I would have loved to see in the anime, but they can still be adapted in the last movie. Given is my favorite LGBT romance along with How Do We Relationship, which for the record would have been included in this video if it had an anime adaptation, and both of them are one of my favorite anime romances of all time. And you might be thinking that I'm throwing my shoujo pick to the wolves by implying that it's weak, but my shoujo pick is rather strong, and it's a great break from Given's heavy subjects, because the only heavy subject in Ore Monogatari is the main character himself. Yeah, we ended this strong. Ore Monogatari, or My Love Story, is a story of this absolute unit of a man, Takeo, who is a complete opposite of a shoujo rom-com protagonist. Heck, he would look out of place in a shonen rom-com. So expect this one to be more comedic compared to our other entries, and thankfully I found it very funny, and didn't pick this one just because I relate to Takeo and how much of a nice guy he is. Takeo is way more of a man than I could ever hope to be, and he is the best part of the entire series. To further hammer the point home, Takeo is built like gorilla. He has a lot of friends and is very sociable. He assumes the best about everyone, he is willing to help anyone in need, and he is not afraid to show his feelings to others. See, he is nothing like me. In Takeo's story, there is also room for his best buddy and childhood friend Suva, who looks to be your typical shoujo male protagonist. Good looking, popular with girls. So popular in fact that he gets confessed constantly, but for an unknown reason keeps turning all the girls down. And you know what? I won't reveal his thing to you, but to give you a bit of a taste, if you watch Gekkan Shoujo Nosaki-kun and remember the Tomoda bit, it's pretty close to that. Suva steals a lot of praise from Takeo's actions unintentionally, which hammers home that everyone assumes a lot about Suva and Takeo on their physical appearances. Suva is a true pro, who helps Takeo figure out his emotions, often against his will, which does lead to great comedy.
セイラさんとフラウボーならどっちだ？
アニメ？
じゃあ歌のお姉さんと体操のお姉さんならどっちだ？
体操かな。
マインちゃんとスイちゃんならどっちだ？
誰それ？
Suva also helps out Yamato, who keeps making moves on oblivious Takeo, but thankfully this relationship starts early, and we get to focus on their relationship where both of them are just the sweetest idiots. Yamato is a complete opposite of Takeo, and I guess opposites do attract, because she falls in love with Takeo instantly after Takeo saves him from a molester during a train ride. I guess I'll get this out of the way and say that moment was my least favorite part of the series, and this whole thing of male lead saves a female lead from a molester is one of my least favorite tropes in romance anime. It's not as bad here as it was in Tomo-chan is a Girl, where it was even more egregious. It just doesn't fit the vibe that Ore Monogatari is going for, but I'm willing to overlook it, since it happens so early and the author might have not figured out the tone yet.
そういう反応。てか帰っていい？
We got sidetracked a bit, but Yamato really is the sweet ball of fluff that keeps making sweets and pastries for Takeo to eat, and she truly loves him, and Takeo loves him just as much. This is literally the whole series, as new characters get introduced and they either start being wary of Takeo or they can't believe how Takeo landed such a cutie pie as his girlfriend. The former is a recurring thing, with girls around Takeo's age, as even Yamato's friends are wary of him. But they do all warm up to him after they witness his heroics. The latter is mostly Takeo's male friends, and Takeo really does have a lot of male friends, which is always great to see, as male leads in rom-coms tend to be loners. But there is one notable exception, and that is Suva's big sister, who has had a crush on Takeo for years, and couldn't believe that some other girl actually loves Takeo. Don't let that fool you though. There is very little drama in this show, and whatever misunderstandings and love triangles get solved rather quickly, and our main couple's love is ironclad. Of course there is one exception, which is the last arc of the anime, and later down the line there is the last arc in the manga. But the former never really tested their relationship, but the latter certainly did.
これもおすすめ。超泣けるからもう休止しちゃうよ。
すまん、助かる。
Speaking of the manga, I'd say that it is the weakest one here. While the heart of the show is still found here, the quality of the art leaves bit to be desired. The anime really outshines it. It's still worth checking out if you crave more, but for myself, the anime really replaced it. I wouldn't have recommended the anime if I didn't like the source material. But what you should definitely check out is the Nisekoi crossover manga. If you're vaguely familiar with Nisekoi and have no interest in Ore Monogatari, you should still check it out. These couple of panels really showcase how cowardly some of those rom-com male leads are. Ore Monogatari is a nice breather compared to many romance anime, even those mentioned in this video, because how warm it makes me feel, and by being so low stakes, it's easy to just put your mind at ease. Sometimes, actually most of the time, that's all you need. Some good comfy anime to cheer you up, and Ore Monogatari is perfect for that. Those were my romance recommendations, and hopefully at least one of them tickled your fancy, so you have something new to watch. I actually don't know what to write as an outro, so thanks for watching and see you next time.